stage, resident MC of Raiders, Sean Fitzgerald.
How's it going, folks? Thank you very much. Oh, Jesus. That is louder than I expected. Okay, cool. Hey, how you doing? Excellent. Good. Yes, well, like Ian said, my name's Sean Fitzgerald. But unlike my name and accent giveaway, I'm actually born and raised in Germany. Yeah, that's the reaction you get when you don't hide your genocide. But yeah, you know, being Irish German. Sometimes the callbacks take a tick. My fault for going too fast, sorry. But yeah, you know, it's interesting being a mix of Irish and German. You know, it's a counterbalance there. You know, the German part of me wants everything done perfectly, efficiently, to the T, right. And the Irish part goes, yes, we will do that. Tomorrow. And you know, moving to Ireland I think was great for me. You know, I grew up in Germany, like I said, moved to Ireland, and I think if I hadn't moved to Ireland I wouldn't have been diagnosed with autism. Because in Germany it's kind of harder to be diagnosed with autism because number one, it's a country where being a fan of trains is not that popular. You know, you don't want to be the guy in the train station going, hi, as they drive by. And you know, the other part is, you know, you go to a doctor and you try to explain, it's hard to tell, am I autistic or just very, very German? You know, you say to the doctor, I think I might be. And he said, well, why do you think you're autistic? You say, well, I have trouble reading facial emotions and I'm very pedantic about numbers. And I said, well, why do you have trouble reading emotions? There are only two. Serious and very serious. And being pedantic about numbers, well, this is just correct. This is why it's very important we say 5.8 and not 6 million. That's a slow one, but it is a gas joke if you think about it. Sorry. Yeah, but I got married recently. Thank you very much. I say recently, it was 8 years ago, but when you're transitioning from talking about the Holocaust, it's important to get a cheer in there. But yeah, you know, it was great getting married. Growing up, I wasn't the most successful with women. Just let their shock wear off there for a sec. Yeah, not exactly the sex god you see before you now. When I say sex god, I do mean my sex life is a lot like God, and that there is a small group of people who insist it's true. But most people are like, I don't believe things without evidence. But you know, it was great getting married, you know, because like I said, I hadn't been great with women growing up. I always told people it was for religious reasons, but that's just whenever I approached a woman, she would say, Jesus, God, no. But then I met my wife and, you know, things changed, that got cool, you know, slowly developed the relationship. We're now into twosomes, and it was pretty cool. Obviously the natural progression from there was she wanted to try out threesomes, and they are a lot of fun. So she tells me. That's obviously a joke. I'm allowed to be involved as long as I just don't cry too loudly. I have to admit though, I did pick up a nickname in the bedroom after a while. They call me the tripod. But that's just because I'm the guy who holds the camera. You know, natural progression. But you know, the marriage, sex life thing, you know, it was great. You know, things change when you get married, obviously. You know, when you're younger, sex talk is all like harder, faster, stronger, deeper. When you're married, it's, you know, harder, faster, stronger, deeper. Oh shit, I have to put out the bins in the morning, give me 2 minutes. Things change, but it's also like, you know, your education changes when you get older, you're married, you know, the harder, deeper, faster, stronger, you know, that myth. I would call it a myth, I don't know if that's the right title. Things change when you're older is what I'm trying to say. And you know, the thing that educated me about this, you know, don't go so hard, so deep, so fast, so strong all the time, is that the average vagina, I found out, is only 3 to 4 inches in depth. And I know this is true because I almost reached the end once. Don't know why that's the one that makes me laugh. But yeah, so like I said, I got married. What I didn't mention is my wife is actually American. Yeah, cool. Don't worry, their genocide's coming. We're all watching it on the news. But yeah, you know, it's interesting being married to an American, you know, brings in a different dynamic. She is bisexual, does all the threesome talk, but you know, when she arrived in Ireland, you know, being American, things were a bit different. The language barrier, for instance, like when we met, she said she was into thick girls. And, you know, me being from Cork was like, Jesus, that seems a bit predatory.
Wow.
Yeah, I found out later what she meant. I was like, oh, Jesus. She said, what am I going to do with this dumbass Claire? I go, fuck off. But yeah, you know, it changed the way I talk as well. You know, now she's been here 8 years, like I said. So, you know, she's changed her vocabulary. She now uses lads for all genders. She now realises a pint can mean 7. I've picked up some Americanisms myself. You know, I sometimes accidentally say something like oregano or aluminum or herb, or if he didn't want to be shot, he should have complied with the officer. She's from Florida, so I have to turn a little bit. But, just to add more countries to the mix, because fuck it, it's fun. We were actually living in Belgium the last 3 years, and while we were living in Belgium, she was working in Ghent, and we were living in Brussels. And there was one weekend, a friend of mine came to visit. Ricky came over for the weekend. So, you know, he comes into the house, have a few drinks, having a few cans, blah, 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 usual story. He just asked me at one point, he says, oh, where's Alexis? I said, oh, she's actually at work. She's working in Ghent. She'll be home later. He said, oh, how long would it take you to get back from Ghent to Brussels? I was like, it's about a 45-minute drive. And without missing a beat, Ricky turns to me and goes, no, you do it in 20. I said, Ricky, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't even know where Ghent is. You've never been to Belgium before. And I'll be honest, it's probably an hour. And he went, no, it's a Friday evening, roads are empty. She'll do it in 15. I said, Ricky, what the fuck are you talking about? It's cold and wet, it's dark. You don't know what Belgian drivers are like. It's probably a 3-hour drive actually at this point, given how busy it is. And he's like, nah, she'll do it in 10 minutes. And you know, clearly this is why Irish people don't haggle. We just get further and further from the point. And you know, like I said, we were drinking. So fast forward an hour later, Ricky's at the front door putting on a pair of shoes saying, I'll walk it in 20. I'm at the PC looking at a ferry via Amsterdam going, it's a 4-day journey minimum at this point, Ricky. And then I realised, you know, the clarity hits. Like, oh shit, wait, actually, I do know how to figure this out, Ricky. Sit down, take shoes off, sit down. I know how to figure this out. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I got this. Take out my phone, I text my wife. I say, hey babe, fancy some sexy time? Wink wink. And she replies, ooh, what has you in such a frisky mood? And I replied, well, my wife's not home. Yeah, it turns out Ricky was right. You can do the drive in 15 minutes. My name's Sean Fitzgerald. Thanks very much, guys.
So one example of, you know, when you're making the funding application or the pitch for an eye that I'm like, you know, what I would have told if I was doing